So I think that one thing that makes a great realtor, a great real estate agent, is we have big ears, meaning we do a lot of listening, right? And I think that's a big part of our job is to listen and to learn what people want. I know I always say people don't buy their wants, they buy their whys. Like, why would you need a fourth bedroom? Why do you need a RV parking? Things like that. And so we're often like listening a lot, trying to decipher what they really want to make sure on the buy side they get exactly what they're looking for. On the sell side, they're also getting what they're looking for. And I think in that process, a lot of times with our clients, we do so much listening and asking, they don't know anything about us. And it's a crazy thing because buying a home or selling a home is it's a big deal. And it literally is life-changing for people. And so what I wanted to do today is like introduce you to some of your clients that might not even know a lot about you guys.
I had an opportunity to transfer with the phone company, and so I moved to Portland.
So how do we go from working for the phone company to selling real estate?
Interesting story. We as employees were offered the opportunity to continue to work for the Bell company that we were with or go with AT&T. When the phone company came back and said, sorry, we're not going to let you go to AT&T, you're going to have to stay with Pacific Northwest Bell. In the back of my mind, I had remembered the apartment building where I was living, the manager saying that he was going to go to graduate school down in Florida, and he was looking for a new property manager to take over managing the apartment building. And I thought, perfect time to leave the phone company. So I went into property management, and I managed an apartment building in Northwest Portland from about 1984 until about 1989. And that led me into real estate. I enjoyed working, with the apartments so much and overseeing a big renovation project that I thought, I think I want to buy homes and rehab and sell. And which I did. The first home that had purchased, did a full rehab on it, sold it, bought another home, and started rehabbing that one. And I decided, I think I want to become a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what led me into it.
Jeff.
Yes.
Now, you were a later entrant into real estate.
I was.
Right?
Carl and I met in 1995.
95.
I was working in banking at that time. Carl started going to Brian Buffini seminars and ended up getting a real estate coach. And his business increased so much that his coach suggested that he have an assistant. So back in 2000, the banking world was getting a little strange, a little salesy, not so much customer service. So he asked me to leave banking and come work with him. So I got my real estate license, left the bank, and in 2001 we started together, and it kind of went from there.
Real estate is a funny business because we're kind of on call 24 hours a day, right?
Yes.
You know this as well as anybody. And being that way, it's kind of hard to split up the personal life and your professional life, because a lot of what we do is where we meet people and we find people that need our help and things like that. You are partners in business and partners in life. Is there a separation, or did you figure out a way to just sort of have it all be one glob of awesomeness that you just roll through life and everything is?
That was part of our life, and it just kind of intertwined well. And a lot of things we did were with people we knew, so there was a lot of social interaction and that kind of thing, and that just kind of led to business.
A lot of our clients have become very good, close personal friends of ours, and a lot of our very close personal friends have become clients. When we first started working together, when I asked Jeff to leave the bank and come to work with me at Windermere, I thought, this is either going to be the beginning of the end, or this is going to be the beginning of something pretty great.
Yeah.
And I think that we can say that, 22 years later, turned out pretty great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think in this business it can be a really lonely business, and it's nice to have someone to, even if just crying in your soup about something that fell apart, or like bouncing off ideas. It's such a lonely business. Having someone you know and you like and you trust is such an important part of maybe helping that work-life balance, because it's like, it's okay. I have a teammate here who's along for the ride, and we can ride the highs together and ride the lows together
Absolutely. Yeah. you
as
bet.
well.
Yeah.
And 2001, when you got in the business, that was kind of an interesting time because we were kind of coming out of a recession at that time,
Yeah.
but kind of moving into like 2004, 5, 6 craziness.
Oh, the peak years. Yeah.
Oh
You know.
my golly, that's for sure.
That, I'm sure you were going crazy at that time.
Yeah.
Then 2007, 2008 happened, and that must have been a big change. How did you weather that storm? Your longevity
That
in
was
this
an
business
eye
is
opener
crazy. So
back
yeah.
then. Yes. Yes.
Though those were some tough years, but I kept telling Jeff, I said, if we can weather this storm, I said we can hopefully sail into retirement without a problem. And lo and behold, we did weather the storm.
Yeah, there were a
wasn't
lot of
without-
changes.
There wasn't without its difficulties.
Yeah.
Companies started, shutting down some of the offices and consolidating in order to save money. And the move to the Lloyd Tower office was a terrific move. I think it was a great benefit to us. Yeah.
It just got us more central city, central Portland kind
Yeah.
of feel.
Yeah.
Instead of a niche up in Kenton, we could serve more areas than before. So
yeah.
Bigger office, more camaraderie. We loved the agents that we were with at the North Portland office, and still loved those agents.
that was like a family.
It was like a family. It really was.
What in the business? What's the biggest changes you've seen over these years? And what are some of the things that remain constant?
The constant, I think, is the relationship based business as opposed to a transaction related business, which is one of the reasons why we want to work with you as our team, because that's your philosophy as well, is to build the relationship. If you build the relationship, the transactions will come. Those agents that are focused on the transactions, they never develop a relationship.
Yeah, it's churn and burn. It's not
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that really appealed to me with the Buffini program, is that it was so relationship based.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
very
staying in touch
relation-
with your
yeah.
client, building a relationship, staying involved,
Yeah.
caring about them, as a person, not just a transaction. So
Yeah.
I know we used to have some client parties in the past that were real fun, and we enjoyed seeing everyone. And so just, I think, keeping in touch, caring, and being a trusted advisor to your clients is constant.
I think that is the trusted advisor is so important, because whenever I'm working with a client, and I think you're similar to this, I want them to understand that I'm going to lunch with a client on Friday, and I heard through the grapevine she didn't quite understand, like, why was he calling me to go to lunch? I don't quite understand that.
Yeah.
Like, we already did the transaction. And I was like, well, guess what? You're along the ride, and there's going to be some free stuff from me along the way. And I want to be your advisor, meaning if you ever have a question, it's like, who do I call for this, or what do I do about this? I want to be your first phone call. I need a therapist, I need a plumber, I need my gutters cleaned. Because our home is such an
Exactly.
important part of our lives.
Precisely. That's what we have always said as well.
We want to be the hub. I want to be a hub.
Yeah.
You know.
And we've always told our clients that as well. Just because the transaction has been completed, now that you have the keys to your new home, this isn't the end of our relationship. This is going to continue on for years.
Yeah.
You're going to be our client for life.
It's like, get used to this face.
Yeah. You bet.
And what we're so thankful for is that relationship develops referrals from our clients,
you bet.
friends, family, and that's how we build our business over the years, and that's how we've been successful, is from our clients sending us their friends and family.
Yeah.
And that's how you end up working with people you really do like.
Yeah.
That really you do get along with. some anonymous Zillow lead or something like that, or someone who clicked on a Facebook ad. They don't know me from Adam. They don't know you from Adam. I don't know them from Adam. You know, there's no foundation there. But when you have
Right.
someone is, oh, you're selling your home. It's time to call Carl and Jeff, or time to call. Now it's time to call. It's time to bring in
Yes.
this person.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
the person you need, and that is something that takes time. But you know, with folks like you who've been in the business so long, you have developed some real foundations. You know, some real foundations. I want to talk a little bit about transactions. You know, this is a funny business we're in, and I find there's always memorable transactions. Do you have any particular transactions, whether it was interesting clients or an interesting house, or you just happen to sell a $10 million villa or something in Italy or something? Is there any memorable transactions in your career that kind of stand out as like, you know, that's the story I always tell at the dinner table when
You can take it from there.
Well, it was interesting because it was a Tuesday morning property tour. We pull into the driveway of this house, and I'm in the back seat looking at the tour sheet. And Nancy and Jana, both at the same time, just turn around to the back seat and they say, "Oh my God, Carl, this is the house that you and Jeff are going to buy." And I was like, I looked at this house and it's like, you know, we had always talked about wanting to buy like a nice, you know, craftsman style home. And this was a big 2-story colonial home, you know, and I thought, what are they talking about? You know, and we walked in the front door and it was like, oh my God, you know, with a nice big grand staircase up to the second floor and French doors into the dining room and French doors into the living room. We walked through the house and I was kind of in shock in a way. And they said, we're not even going to finish tour. You're getting in the car, you're going to go back to the office, you're going to go get Jeff, and you're going to show him this house, and you're going to buy it. I went and picked up Jeff at the bank, and he said, where are we going? And I said, well, there's a house I want to show you.
there's a house we're going to buy.
Like, oh, okay. We weren't really in the market, but okay.
Jeff, at that point, had never gone through any kind of a renovation project or anything.
Oh, no. Just our
And,
little stuff, you know.
This house hadn't been touched in years.
No, Carl saw the potential, but when I came in, mine just like, oh,
Jeff's
my
eyes
God.
just, you know, as big as saucers.
Ugly green carpet, all
Carpet.
these drapes, and it just kind of went on and on and on.
Oh my God, and so he said, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Went back to the office and we wrote up the offer, and actually, Jenny and her mom, Carol Otis, were the listing agents. And when they listed the home, they said to each other, you know, it would be really great if Carl and Jeff got this house.
Really?
I mean, it was just, you know, the stars were aligned. I don't know what it was. We wrote the offer. They presented it that night. They had to go to the lawyer's office with the trustee. They went over the paperwork and signed off. And the next day it was sale pending.
Well, the little funny thing to that too is that the house was getting a lot of activity because it was on Willamette.
lot
So
of
a lot
activity.
of people, you know, on the quiet part of Willamette. We all want to be there, and I guess Carol's cell phone started to ring or something as they
Just
pulled
as
up
they
at
were
the
getting out of
attorney,
the car.
and she threw her cell phone in the car and locked the door because she just knew things were going to happen. So, yeah.
So
thanks to Carol and Jenny.
Yeah,
That's a
thank
good
you,
friend.
Carol.
Yeah.
You know, that's interesting. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier of kind of the role of your real estate agent. As a buyer, sometimes you don't quite understand what you're looking
my
for,
gosh.
and this is something that any app can't do, you know, or any iBuyer can't do. They can't be like, we need to see this because you need to see this and you need to buy, because these other agents in your life are like, oh, this is for them. Oh, this is for them, because kind of goes back to, you know, we buy our whys, not our whats. You know, it's like,
Right.
this actually checks all these boxes that, you know, maybe Jeff didn't see when he saw the carpet and his allergies are going nuts or something, whatever it is. You know, you don't see this, but, you know, that's kind of the role of an agent, you know, and I'm sure you've done that countless times for people. I mean, I know I have. I'm just like, let's just go see it. I know it's not in maybe it's not in the neighborhood we were looking in. But let's go see this because it really does check a lot of your boxes. And let me just walk you through it and tell you why I think this. And it's so funny when you see people light up and they're like, you're right. And then you go visit them the next Christmas or something and you're like, told you so.
I know.
Tell your friends.
The best feeling in the world. It really is.
Yeah.
It is when you can match the buyer to the home. That is just such an incredible feeling.
My question, I'm a newer agent, so I'm just wondering what your advice would be to yourselves in your first year. What would you give yourselves with all the knowledge you know now?
Well, I think for me, it's exactly what you're doing. Being an assistant to another realtor or realtors. That's how I got my start. I was actually an assistant to Dan Volkberg. That's back when there were so very few agents that had assistants, or let alone licensed assistants. And so I think I was very, very fortunate to spend the first 2 years, in my being licensed as a realtor, to work alongside not just another realtor, but a very, very successful realtor who really taught me the ins and outs, learning about the forms and presenting offers and doing counter offers and those sorts of things. And then when the company opened the North Portland office in Kenton, and I went to work there, clientless, out on my own, and then just going to the office every day and listening to what Jana Ripley, how she was interacting with her clients, listening to Carol Otis, listening to Nancy Husband, and just really paying attention, going out on property tour and seeing the different properties and learning. People oftentimes would say, well, I'm not going to go on tour because I don't have a client right now.
Right.
You might have a client by 2 o'clock this afternoon. You need to know what's out there for sale.
Yeah, it really helps you to know the market by going out on tour, taking a look at what's on the market, the pricing, the condition. So that way, if somebody does call and say, have you seen such and such a house? You can actually say, oh, yes, I have. I went on tour. This is my take on the house, and go from there. Another thing I would talk to a newer agent about is it takes a long time to build your business. You've got to develop a client list. You've got to get a rapport with people so that they start to trust you and that sort of thing. And that takes a long time. I think there's a lot of agents that try to get into the business for the quick buck, and pretty soon they don't have enough business to sustain themselves, and they're out. So you're in it for the long haul. You really are.
The ones that are a flash in the pan, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars the first year or two, and then all of a sudden their business dries up because they're not building those relationships.
Exactly.
I've always said that going into real estate is like being a farmer. You don't just start farming and harvest crops right off the bat. You've got to till the soil, fertilize the soil, plant the seeds, water the seeds, and wait for the crops to grow and then harvest it. It's the same way with real estate. You've got to develop those relationships before you can start reaping the rewards of those relationships and, working with those buyers and those sellers and eventually getting the referrals from those buyers and sellers. I mean, the last several years, probably 10 or 12, maybe even 15 years, I would say that probably 90% or better of our yearly business has been repeat and referral business.
And that's the best business you can have.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
That's the ideal.
It's it's a stressful job, but that's the lowest stress version of this job.
It is.
You
bet.
I think. And I think both as agents, but also as people who are purchasing a home, especially now, like the market's been changing, the interest rates changing, and people get, nervous, rightfully so, because they're making big purchases. in real estate in general, it's a long game. I always tell folks, with the exception of some house flippers and stuff out there, which, those are well capitalized folks and they're doing that, they have some special unique skills. For 99% of the people, it's important to say this is a long game. You need to be looking at a 5 to 10 year holding period. And if you can hold on to something for 5 to 10 years and be comfortable, you're going to do very, very well, because real estate has these benefits. We get to leverage and borrow against it. We get to use the bank's money, but it takes time. And if someone comes up to you and says, I have a way for you to make a lot of money in real estate real quick. It's like, that's the wrong way to do it. Go turn around, go find something else to do. Go buy some Bitcoin, because that's not the way to do it. But it is the great opportunity for regular Joes and Nancy's. Like, I think about, like, my parents, for example, like, they elementary school teachers. They never made a lot of money, but they had bought real estate, and they're very comfortable now. And because they bought real estate a long time ago.
Yes.
And you get on that property ladder, and the first rung of the ladder is the hardest.
Yes, it is.
But that's why we are always so, I'm always excited when people buy a home for the first time. I'm like, this is the start of you really building something real, like a legacy, something you can hand down to the kids, something you can, whatever it is. I mean, that's how you do it, because I don't see a lot of people getting rich on their 401k.
No, absolutely not.
But buying in Laurelhurst in 1980, that was a good move.
That was a real good move. Buying in Overlook in 1999 was a real good move.
Yeah, well, buying anywhere in Portland was a good move.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's going to continue to be so. Everyone talks about bubbles bursting and things like that, and I'm like, just get in and ride the wave, and you're going to be just fine. That's the idea. And that's not me being salesy. That's me saying, look at the last 75 years of history. It's right there in front of us.
When people buy a home, you have to explain to them, this is the biggest investment that you're going to be making right at the time. And there were times when I would tell people, my job is to protect your investment for you. So if I see a home that you're looking at and you've got the rose-colored glasses on, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't think you should be buying this home. I mean, the junkyard that's in the backyard, or the falling down shack next door, or whatever it might be. I've got to convince you to take those rose-colored glasses off and steer you in another direction, because I feel it's my duty to help protect your investment and what you're buying.
Isn't that funny? We have to look at both sides of it. We were just earlier talking about sometimes we have to remind people, like, this actually checks a lot of your boxes. This is something you should be considering. And obviously the decision is always theirs, but we also are going to be like, I know in Portland especially, like, a lot of these 100-year-old houses, these foundations, I go down there, like, something to be aware of is this foundation is crumbling. Just something to be aware of. This will come up, and managing expectations that way.
Absolutely.
And just being like, I'm here, I'm not here to make a commission on this transaction. I'm here to get you set on for years of transactions down the road with you and your friends and your colleagues and things like that.
Yeah.
So we've been looking back a lot. We've been kind of looking at it now. I want to talk about the future. So what's next for you guys? What's the game plan? I hear sunny Arizona is in the future. So what's next for you? What does your next 10 years look like?
10 years? Wow. Well, we know at least the next couple of years will undoubtedly be in Arizona. We intend to make Arizona our permanent address. We've got several investment properties there, and of course, in order to avoid the capital gains on those homes, we need to live in each of them for a period of time. So that's kind of the direction that we're going in, is to move down there, spend time with Jeff's dad and stepmom who live there, and some of his stepmom's sisters and cousins who we know extremely well and interact with when we're down
we've
there
gotten to know some people that are now friends down there, and it'll be a nice lifestyle change. It'll be a nice weather change, especially for Carl because
being
he's warm and sunny.
Yeah.
So
being a native Oregonian, you would think that I'm accustomed to the rainy days and the gray, cloudy days, and unfortunately, it just after all these years, I still just the dead of winter. It's just like, oh my God, I've got to get some sunshine.
Yeah.
So for the last 20 some,
yeah.
well, for me 30 some years, going to Puerto Vallarta every year, almost every year, has helped a lot. But looking forward to being in sunny Arizona, especially in the wintertime. Summers we'll probably still come back to Oregon and spend time down at the Oregon coast at our beach house and divide time between there and family in the valley.
It's exciting. Are you excited?
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Very excited.
This has been a great chat. I love talking. You've seen, between the two of you, you've seen so much real estate history, so much Oregon history, right? Coming from Mount Angel. Well, again, thank you so much for chatting. This was really fun. I hope you had fun. And I'm really excited for both of you and your new adventures down in Arizona. I'm also really excited to be helping continue the relationships like you have with your clients, that we can help these same clients with the same level of service and the same level of care. And we hope to become, like you said, some of these folks are some of your very good friends. We hope to become very good friends with them as well. And I think continuing that on. And you know what? You've been in this business for a while, and it's time to take it easy, and I'm excited for that.